special investigator on torture on one of the countries of West Africa. This is not Sudan, by the way, and this is one of the countries mildly considered not oppressed, tropical Equatorial Guinea. And when he said, I even found the torture instrument as described before by the detainees which he interviewed them in the police station. They even did not bother to take them away. They didn't care about it. It seemed like the world is not paying any attention, especially when oppression is happening in a poor country. But let's talk about the torture worldwide. According to Amnesty International, more than 150 countries where torture is happening right now. And in 70 countries, this was a conclusion of torture, systematic torture is happening. And this is very disturbing information. This is, of course, including also the United States in the Guantanamo Bay thing, because torture was happening there, as we know. Fortunately or unfortunately, like the documentation of what was happening, because it's not happening right now in Guantanamo Bay, according to activists and anti-torture activists, most of the people who were over there either Islamists or suspect Islamists. But the whole world started, including all the left and opposition groups inside Sudan, in defending the right of those people not to be tortured. Unfortunately, a number of them, after them being released because of the efforts of people who are in this room here, including the journalist, what's his name from the Jazeera? Sami Haj, did nothing to say no for torture who was being practiced by their own people in Khartoum. Nothing. We waited, and we begged him to say something. He's a torture survivor. He suffered here. He went back to Sudan. He said, okay, I'm going to build a hospital in Sinai area. Talking about torture happening. At that moment when he was released, the Abu Ghraib new torture center was happening inside in Khartoum North on the river banks. Many of the Islamists, unfortunately, who were being under torture, they are not learning from that lesson. If torture happened to you, it could happen to anyone other, and it could happen back to you. You have first to start by your own organization and to stop the torture. And this is an important lesson we learned from documentation of torture. If we were saying never again, we have to start never again. And it's not enough to start denying torture happening. As President Bush was saying, President George W. Bush was saying, no, we do not torture. And this was well documented on YouTube. If you can Google him, and I put here the link for them. It was no difference when I wrote a letter to President Bush, and I put it on a number of websites. What's the difference of you to become representing me as the president of the country? I took refuge between you and President Omar Bashir, where when I was among 170 people inside the ghost house of Citibank, he went out to the whole world. I said, no, there is no torture, such thing called ghost house in Sudan. And the talk about torture is just a big lie. I was there, an eyewitness. And for the irony of that, the torture brought a TIFO for the first time inside the security Citibank, and they took all the detainees out, and they forced us to listen to the Bashir when he was saying that, telling the people, you are here, no one knows about you. We can do whatever we want to do with you. This is a lie, and this is documented, by the way, live in video by Amnesty International, what he was saying. And the link also is down here. Of course, it was very important to try to correct that kind of a shameful denial from President Bush when President Obama, when he was a candidate, and after he was being a president, to apologize for that kind of things. And he said these years are way back, and actually he did stand for what he was saying, and he did some kind of a good thing. And I know the what's the name of the prison? Guantanamo Bay is still open, but at least we know if there was torture there now by more than 90%, according to some human rights activists and lawyers who are visiting from my own town to go and monitor what's happening there. It's not happening again. So this is at least some kind of good thing and some kind of apology. And this is what Dr. Baldu was saying is one of the things here we are requesting a kind of apology for what's happened. When the group against torture in Sudan requested from Umar Bashir when he was in January 2007, he started to talk about like doing some kind of healing with the past. And we sent him a letter through the Sudan embassy here in Washington, D.C. And we know that they received it. Let's start it. Let's talk business. Number one, we need an apology. Number two, you need to start like doing some kind of make sure this is not going to happen again. Start closing down, identify all the ghost houses. We talk about 2007. That's when Belgrade was opened in Khartoum, Bahrain, and where Adib Yusuf was being tortured there. One of our forum, Iowa Forum, and one of the Darfur activists. So let's start on closing these down things. And here, let's talk about the other thing, the reparation. How are you going to do this to people? Nothing. We kept sending letter after letter and confront the embassy representative, Al-Aqib Mohamed Suleiman. Nothing happened. This was just like a lip service, like he was talking at that time, because it seemed like he was pushed. It's important to document everything happening, and it's important for the survivor and this kind of forum here to have everything in documentation. This is why online is an important thing. Many websites there. The Human Rights Network, Sudan Human Rights Network, which I'm honored to talk on their behalf here, is building a website. We ask every documentation. If you have a link, just send it to us. Just Google SudanHumanRights.org and you can go over there and send all the links you have. We started to document the history of violence, and this is very important when we divide this into these five different categories. The Turkiya, the Mahdiya, the colonial era, the post-independence, and of course the Islamist era. We call it the Islamist era because it's important. For the first time, even some people like arguing during Khalifa Abdullah 1885, 1898, there was some kind of systematic torture represented by a Signasayer in Omdurman, but still it was not like widespread like this was happening. There was a kind of mass violation, extrajudicial execution happening at that moment, but not like what's happening since 1989. For the first time, a country bragging about using torture as a way to crush down any opposition. Not opposition who are carrying like arms against it. Opposition inside Khartoum. I'm one of the Human Rights Monitor. I was not even believing when the rumor started to coming out. I said, okay, maybe this is only a single incident when was torturing, putting Sadiq al-Mahdi on that kind of chair with 3 legs and doing some stuff. When I met with secretly representing the Democratic Alliance, met with represented the European Union in Khartoum, we brought this information to them. You need to do, this is a kind of a serious thing. Few months after that, Ali Fadl, my dear friend, a colleague to many of you here, under torture was killed in the city bank. I saw where the room where a couple of people were bragging, and my testimony in the website, everyone can go and read it. 2 different groups inside the torture house, they were bragging about who killed Ali Fadl. We don't need more than this here to document everything and know who are these people. Ghost houses, the whole world ghost houses. Unfortunately, luckily or not luckily, we managed to document one of the most atrocities. We give this to the world, and thanks to Google Earth. If it wasn't for Google Earth, we would not be able to send all this information to the world. This is what we call the Botanical Garden ghost house in Mugar, Khartoum, across from the Baghdad Zirai. One of the places over there is very famous. Hilal Zahir Sadati, maybe a number of you know him, and I appreciate if you can give me a little bit extra 5 minutes. This is important because part of what we need to do here are documentation. We need to, after we leave here, everyone would like to do something. I promise to do something here to document the torture happening during this regime. This is one of the houses. The group against torture, which I was part of it in Khartoum, we started over there through the Democratic Alliance. We documented 20 places, 20 ghost houses in Khartoum and Khartoum Bahari and Umdurman. 36 methods of torture documented and known. One of them, for the first time, we thought at that moment was the last moment. We knew during the last, in June 26 this year, there is a new method of torture was being practiced and introduced into Darfur, and one of the victims was openly told the world about what happened to him. Sheikh Buyut al-Ashbah, city ghost house. When the representative of the regime, Al-Aqib Mohammed Suleiman, dared without any shame to deny that this is happening, when even I brought this picture and I gave it to him here, he said, no, this is all lies. This is here, the corner, at the corner of Tijan al-Mahdi, Tijan al-Mahdi, Ali Dinar, and Al-Nujum Street in the heart of Khartoum. For anyone who has some kind of doubts, and especially the bystanders, I will come later to the bystanders who are doubting. This is documents. If you don't believe it, if you think I'm lying here about all what happened to me during 118 days in that place, this is one of the documents here. Al-Hara Al-Ashara ghost house in Saxon for one of the victims and survivors who is here among us today, and I will let him if he wants to reveal his name. He identifies this place, and this is one of the places here, and very close to where Mahjoub Sharif lives in Thawra. Thanks, we have in Sudan Human Rights Network, Mohamed Ibrahim, Dr. Mohamed Ibrahim in the GIS technology. This is the kind of thing we need to use. The GIS system, Geographic Information System, is that right? Yes. Correct, GIS, I'm sorry. So this is here, this is the recent one here from what happened. And this is a strong document. This is a village was before and this is after. Before it was burned in Darfur, this is 2004. And you can find it here in Mayafar website. This is unfortunately happened last week. The next one here near Kadugli, where Umar Gamar identified and told us like about the 8 different mass graves found. This is one of the major roles we need to know here. Using the technology, we are living here, and a number of us here, and maybe Yad Karim later, who will help us like how we can use this kind of technology to document the crime of this regime, and let the world know about it. What the survivors are doing, the torture survivors are creating some kind of truth committees, which is part of the truth commissions suggested before the transition justice. We created this here and we started in diaspora. After like we did not hear any kind of response from the President Omar al-Bashir and his regime. And this is again one of the documentation. And by the way, this is as much as I could describe. And the person here on the right, this is represent Nafi Ali Nafi, who was supervising my torture and another 7 people. Himself on June 1992, on April 1992, the 13th. So I described it to an artist to do it. So if we can help with some kind of artist here, and we know Mohammed Saeed and Khalid Kozi are among us here, they can help us document, putting some kind of a specific feature after meeting with the survivor, so we can put some kind of portraits, and as the police do it on TV. This is another one. It's based on a picture by a Danish painter, but the artist tried to use some kind of image from a Sudanese. This is a doctor on the right. If you see the Sama, and he supervised, and I saw a couple of people like this in the ghost houses. Even when they used to take the people, when after suffering, they take them to the health center in Bahari near Shendi. You can find some kind of this arrogant health providers. And you, of course, the minute you get into their offices, when you see their feature, you know, this person is not going to help you. This is some kind of documentation here just to share with you number of people who are responsible for the torture. If they did not do it by their hands, but they order it and they know what's happening. Torturers, and it's important in their own words, and I leave this with you for a second. Read and see what is the difference. If there is no in it. This is a white Christian and this is a black Muslim, who of course he does not consider himself a black, he's an Arab. This is Nafi Ali Nafi, this is Kholian al-Turki, Kholian the Turk from South Africa. If you look here, and this is an eyewitness testimony, I heard it directly from the lips of Professor Nafi Ali Nafi. Of course, he said it in Arabic, and this is my own translation for it. On the road to transitional justice, this is what we are suggesting here, and the group, the torture survivor and the human rights group are working especially with many artists. I just want to give the credit here for Khalid Koudi, for artist Khalid Koudi, for playing a major role in documenting the torture through most of the memorials and most of the safety. Never again. How we do this, as Dr. Baltu suggests, the institutional reform, and this is very important, redress and official apology, truth committees. And I will talk about the truth committees in a second. It's still within my 5 minutes extra. Memorization efforts, museums, and it's important. I encourage every single person here in this room and all your friends, go, whatever you agree with the politics of the Holocaust Museum or not, go and visit, learn from that experience. It is very important to go and learn from that. And this is what we need. We need to create a small museum, a small kind of documentation project like this everywhere. And we can start, as we will explain later, the truth committees by your own committee. Memorial parks, Khalid Koudi created a number of projects and design for this. Murals and paintings, and especially in all these kind of places, houses in Sudan. Number one, I believe, is we have to put our hands in any coming regime in one of these places. And I propose that, this, not because I was imprisoned in Citibank's house, because this is the father of all torture places. And it's still there. It's a public place. It's paid for us by our own taxes. And it's over there in the middle of center of Khartoum, and we can turn that to another Holocaust museum. Movies, and then I would like to take this, many kind of documentation. I would like to take this stand and thank my friend, the young activist, Hisham Haj Umar, for his first documentation on torture survivor, which I participated with Adlan, another torture survivor. But it's a 9 minutes, it's called The Party, and it's available online. I forgot to put the link here, but I appreciate if you just go and listen to it. You will hear, it wasn't new. Definitely you hear many of what we were saying from your neighbor, from your friend, from your cousin, from any people who is living in your neighborhood. Books and novels. And I know that Ustaz Ibrahim Ibrahim just published a new book. Before that, also the young activist Mudik, also حيث تكمن الألوان رواية. It's one of the best novels from a young activist who saw his cousin how he's being tortured, and he wrote some kind of a very deep work. I did not read Ibrahim's novel, but I hope I can put my hand on it. But this is an important documentation part. This is the 6 committees which I think any of us here can create in our own committee. One committee to investigate torture committed by the government of Sudan. And we have to follow, we have a lot of documentation. This is what the human rights activists are doing right now. Another committee we are suggesting to receive testimonies from people who wants to publicly put their testimony or privately. Another committee is for the bystanders, and I will talk about the bystanders in a second. A committee to help in the reparation and rehabilitation, and survivors have a special, very accommodating project to how to do this kind of reparation without affecting the crumbling budget of the poor country Sudan. How is this supposed? This is one of the controversial committees here, and still among the survivors are not agreed. How can we motivate some of the perpetrators to come out, or whistleblowers? Is it possible? When I confronted Al-Aqid Mohamed Suleiman, a number of you were here, when I confronted him last year in a conference, I asked him publicly, you were the head of the security in Niada and in Malakal, or in one of them at least, like he was the head of the security. I want just one thing, comparing to all people. Did you or you did not participate personally in a torture of any person? He did not answer. He started going around and around. And there was two prominent figures here in this room who were witnessing that confrontation. Said, even if you said yes, you were the head of the security, but you did not do any kind of direct torture, like what Nafi Ali Nafi did to me and my other 6 colleagues, I can still be willing to sit and talk to you. But this is the minimum we can do. If you torture or not torture. But most of the, many of the survivors, they don't agree on this kind of committee. But it's open. And I think we can do something. It's one of the small solutions to end the torture, to have a whistleblower from inside. Another committee is the historical memory on torture, and we talk about this, and I think it should be done. This is one here, this is a ghost house, and I suggest we can just turn it to another museum, just like Auschwitz in Poland, and the other two up over the Cambodian Genocide Museum. It's small, plain, simple, without doing any kind of big change in the houses. This is one of the houses. I took a special trip. I just want you to pay attention. That's myself. Here is that picture number 2 from right. I know it's not clear here. That's what's the name of the rock? The prison outside San Francisco, Alcatraz. That's a cell inside. It's a museum now. I just went inside with my wife, and she took this picture, and I just wanted to let people, this is exactly where is the cell number 5 where I was with another 11 people. When you sit here, it was exactly 182 centimeter, the width of it. So it's a little bit wider than this. We were 182 centimeter by 210 or something. And we were 11 people inside that, exactly as sardines, as we say. This is one of the documentation. We can create some kind of a small, even the cells. I know the cells are no longer, they remove the cells from the city, Citibank Ghost House. Many of us here, and thanks to Sharon and other people who were here when they were participating in the judgment on genocide, the trial, which in 2006, shared by Wally Shoinka, the Nobel laureate, and participated with 5 respected judges, including the only Sudanese, Isar Abu Taha, which should be here tomorrow, I think, and the other 5 people. It was very important. It was one of the most important things, and if it wasn't for the survivor who participated in that, especially torture survivor, the court, the ICC, was not considering to put torture as one of the major crime accusations against Omar Bashir. And because of that trial, the torture was included as number 7 out of the 8. I don't know the legal term, what they call it. The accounts against Omar Bashir. The bystanders, this is many of us, not like activists, I believe, but many of us in our families, in our neighbors, were just like sitting there. No, it's not happening to me, like ignoring it, silencing, sharing in the crime by silence or by ignoring it until it's happened to you, until there was none available to defend you. And it's very important. Those people here who were denying for a long time that torture happened, there's this 20 houses, maybe in their neighborhood, happening, they need to come out, and they owe us a big apology, and they owe all activists here. They need to come out. Sorry, we were participating by our silence, we were ignorant, and from here we are not going to be silenced. This is important here. I think the IO Forum hearing specifically has to play a role in documentation. We have many, many ideas here we can start. But as I said at the beginning, if we commit ourselves here, each one here, to do one small action by the end of the day or by the end of the week, let's do it. Talk to someone, check the website, visit the Holocaust Museum, visit any kind of documentation museum, online museums. Do all the kind of a small thing. Participate, be a member of the Sudan Human Rights Network. Be a member of this active member here for the IO Forum. Bring all people here to start doing something about what's happening in Sudan. This is the important thing. This is some online resources here. I appreciate if you can look at it and do something about it. And shukran.